Howdy, partner. So you want to learn how to replace the belt on a Chamberlain Whisper Drive garage door opener? Well, you're in luck. I'm going to show you today. Let's take a look. So what we have here is the garage door belt did not snap, but as you can see, it became so worn that it just spins in place. The teeth here are gone and they just don't grab anymore. So we need to go ahead and get this fixed. Now, what I find is the easiest way to do this, you don't have to, but I think it's easier to take the whole garage door opener down. That way you're not working above your head the whole time. So you want to look at these wires and make sure that you know which ones are going in which. You have red and red, yellow and white, solid and white, and then the stripes and the black. If you take a picture with your phone, take a look at that. You then want to look at how it's mounted. There's a bolt there. Never mind this. And then there's also a bolt here. So you're just going to go ahead and you're going to unplug the garage door opener, first and foremost. And then you want to go ahead and remove these wires here that we talked about and undo those two bolts. So that's going to be for the front. Then over here towards the garage door, you're also going to have to do some removal. So you can disengage the drive, make sure the garage door is in a closed position. You then go over to this side of the drive. You can remove the pin that's here. And then push this out. Which releases the drive and drops that. Don't lose any of these parts. And then over here, you will go ahead and remove this pin, which will release the entire end. Before we do that, we want to finish taking that part off. We're going to take that off, set it onto a ladder, and then we're going to go ahead and take off this side and set it down. So let's get working on that. Okay, and now we can just grab this and gently lower it down. This is going to make that project a lot easier to deal with, having this on the ground as opposed to working over your head. So first we're going to go ahead and take out these two bolts that are here on the top. Two screws, one here and one here. We'll take this off and allow us to get to this belt that's all chewed up. This belt here is still under tension, so I need to be a little careful. Okay, as you can see, there's just nothing, there's no rubber teeth left. There's nothing for it to grab. We got to make sure we alleviate some of this tension before we take it off so that we don't get injured. Here's another spot that I noticed afterward where we're starting to, loosen up here. So what I do is want to grab this with some vise, squeeze this as much as we can, and try to get that side off if we can. It's pretty tight, but let me see if I can get a set of vice grips on there. That's a lot looser. We've got a little more play here. We might be able to get this part out. So we kind of lift it up, turn a little, and now we're out. Now we're not going to risk getting injured by any of that tightness. We've also got to take off this carriage because it is too big. to 9/16. Okay, once we start get that out, we should be able to get that out like that. We have a nut and a lock washer and then a bolt and the carriage piece. Now we can get that out. Okay. Then in terms of our other bolt here, we're going to take the spring out completely. There's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to go ahead and just pop it off of this rider. Get a pair of needle nose pliers. What I'm going to try to do is, instead of taking out all this spring and undoing the bolt and all that, we have to take it off of this lock, belt lock here anyways. So I'm just seeing if we can maybe just do that first and save ourselves a step. So we take out this piece, it's a lock, and that goes behind it. And then this. Now this smooth piece is what goes behind. Goes right through like that. So then we slide that forward. Guess what? My shortcut didn't work. It doesn't go out that way. That's okay, we need to take that off anyways. So we'll just go ahead and undo this spring and release some of the tension. I don't know what this is. Some sort of a bolt. Okay, this just unscrews. Okay, so basically, you're going to have the washer and lock washer up against here, onto there, with the belt connecting into there like that. That's going to be all your pieces. So we've got them all. So now that we've taken off the main rider assembly, we can go back here, we can take off this part, and we can clean up some of this junk. Now isn't this nice? We're doing this all on the ground. It was really worth the extra 2 minutes to take it off 5 minutes maybe, take it off the ceiling rather than working overhead. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up a little bit, and then we will go ahead and get the new belt set up. This is the brand new belt provided to me from Chamberlain under warranty. Again, awesome. You'll see it has the two sides already connected to it. So we just want to make sure that we install it in the correct way and get back over to that carrier. Also, we're going to make sure that we kind of loop it around here before we put the top back on. Okay, it's a smooth side out on the new belt. Now it's going to fit into these teeth really nice. Nice tight seal. So we're going to put the cap back on. We got to pinch it forward so that we get the belt to go through these two channels. And then we just want to gently screw in the two screws. Okay. I'm going to tell you again at the end of the video, but if you like what you're seeing, be sure to comment, like, subscribe. I'll try to push out some more videos of amateur fixes by Mr. Greg's How To. Okay, so remember we've got this part, this carrier on. This part has to be facing down so that it does it correctly. So we will go ahead now and hook this piece in back to the carrier, just like that, pretty easy. Then we gotta take this piece, it's a little trickier. We're gonna have to put together that series of locks again. Remember, there's a whole series of ways that it was connected. So, we gotta grab that screw that we had, and we've got to join it together. So what do we do with that? We put this here, and then that. Then on this side, we have that piece. And then we have this little locking mechanism that we then just snap into place. And you should hear it click. There it is. So the chain is back connected. Then what we have is we got to screw this piece on. And again, this can be adjusted for proper tension. We want to put it on to a similar location that it was before. And then we have our lock washer and our other washer. Make it a little looser so it's not quite so tight. Now, one thing that's important that I should note is we want to make sure that this bolt assembly I just put together is through the carrier before we do this, because what I just did was pointless. So get it back off. That was just testing, making sure it all fits. Okay, again, we're going to make sure that the belt is not twisted at all. And we want to pull this side, make sure it's not twisted. And that will mean that we can go in like so. Once we go in, we start putting this side on. Now I can let go a little. And this is starting to create tension on the other side of the belt. So we're not there yet. You see we're a little loose. We definitely want to be tighter than that. A little tighter. That was pretty tight. Okay. Then we can start to put that screw on. Now that we feel it, we're doing pretty good. Okay. You can take your 1/2 inch, tighten that down a little. Now this one is going to tighten against that spring, and it should pretty much hold the belt where it is. If you remember, the spring was a little more compressed than this before, but we have a fresher belt, so there may be some slight variations. Okay, we're nice and, now you see we're nice and tight. It can be moved, but it's nice and tight, and it's one way the whole way down. So now we just have to go ahead and put this back up, and we may be back in business. We're going to start by putting this side back up on our top here of the ladder. Then we'll connect the front and then the top. So we got this put back up. We just went ahead and reconnected the pin that was up here, reconnected the pin that was there, put back on the trolley, so it's all here. We've also connected back over here. Now for this bar right here, I put that over my shoulder and just kind of use it to stand up. And then while we held it with the shoulder on this bar, went ahead and put the bolt in there and there. And then we reattached all the wires here and plugged it back in. So, not too bad. We've got some adjustment screws here we may have to mess with. That has to do with the door closing force, open and closing. So we'll look at that. We need to re-engage the garage door. I think the tension's good. So let's, now we're re-engaged. I already tell you it's sitting a little higher than it was. The garage door's a little open. So we'll probably have to make some adjustments on that open and close. We can press the button and see where we're at. So over on the opposite side of the garage door opener, you have, I talked about the pressure of opening and closing, which you want to adjust. You can also adjust the upward and downward travel. So once you get it all set back up, you just want to look at these stoppers that we have here. We have 2 here and 2 in the front. And you want the carriage to stop a little bit before the stoppers. It needs to come up above the opening of the garage door and needs to close all the way to the floor. So you just adjust those, these 2 with about a 1/2 turn at a time until you get it just right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Mr. Greg's How To. I appreciate it. As I said earlier, I really like all the likes, comments, and subscribers. If you have anything else you want to see how to do an amateur repair on, you go ahead and let me know. Have a good one.